come?
If he actually, I think it will be like the Ramos thing that he's using us to get a new contract. But if he does leave, then 100% will come to us.
It's just got that same sort of feel of the Ramos thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the United Stand. We are back live. Apologies for what went on with the old stream, but I want to fly straight into this. You'll have heard me on my previous introduction saying to Alex, look, what is going on with this transfer window? I feel that we are halfway through it. 20 days virtually from the June the 1st. It's 20 days virtually till the US tour. I was saying, Alex, that I think that Mourinho will want to have the players that he wants to sign part of the US tour, which is in 20 days' time. And at this current stage, we've only signed one player. I know Ross sort of answered it on the other one, and he'll answer it again in a minute. But one, do you think Mourinho will get all the players he wants before the US tour? And two, do you think he wanted to? And then three, what do you think we're on track to do what Mourinho wants to do? Or do you think there's been a few potholes in the road?
I think, as Ross said earlier, about obviously there has been potholes because we thought that we were going to be signing Griezmann by now, and obviously that fell through, and we'll probably get him next summer. But in terms of this season, I mean, you've heard the names that we're constantly linked to with Morata, Perisic, Lindelof, who we've already signed, players like that, and now obviously Dyer and Matic, unfortunately, because everyone wanted Fabinho. But it seems like that these deals aren't really that close, according to the press anyway, from like what you read. So it is quite worrying because we don't want to leave it to the last minute and still be trying to get all these deals together. We want it for the US tour, which, like you said, I think is like 2 or 3 weeks, isn't it? So I'm not too stressed about it now, but if we still haven't made any more business in the next 2 weeks, I think it will start to get worrying.
Yeah, you were talking about it there, Ross. Before we go back to that point, people might have heard it just as we were going live. You were asking Alex about whether he thinks Ronaldo could come to Manchester United, which obviously we'll pick up on. But some of the things I want to talk about tonight, just when we talk about Ronaldo, one, there's meant to be a £183 million deal for Morata and Ronaldo. What's your thoughts on it? Because obviously I've spoken about it quite a lot. My feeling is that as of now, he wants to leave Real Madrid, but my feeling is that once Real Madrid speak to Jorge Mendes and Ronaldo, he'll change his mind.
Yeah, that sounded like Keegan. You know, I'd absolutely love it if we signed him. I think every United fan would. And the money thing, again, just doesn't worry me, and it shouldn't worry any United fans. When you see we've got this, obviously, improved TV deal, there's money flying around everywhere. Small clubs like Everton and Liverpool are throwing £30 million, £60 million at keepers and defenders. So £150 million for Ronaldo alone seems cheap to me, regardless of the age. Do I think it's going to happen? Again, I'd love it to happen, but it has just got that Ramos feeling to me because, I mean, at one point we were dead cert for Ramos. I think every paper across the country was reporting it, and just turned out he wanted a new contract. And I've got that feeling that Ronaldo wants some more money, and he probably wants some help from Madrid regarding this, tax case. And do you know what? He'll probably, if he did come to United, we are the sort of club that would look after a player going through a bit of a situation like that, which is maybe why he wants to come back, because we're the perfect club for it.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, answer that question. One, whether you think it's realistic that he will come back to United. I mean, I've said 10% is where I'm at the moment. I just think that Real Madrid will move heaven and earth to make him stay. It's massive for them to lose a player like that, and how you replace him, I don't know. I think at the moment Ronaldo's very annoyed, and he does want to leave, but Real Madrid will offer him the keys to the kingdom. So unless he's adamant that he wants a new challenge and he wants to leave Real Madrid, I think this is just toys out the pram, and they'll buy him new toys. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I think that even if he does want to leave, that they're going to keep him anyway, because they're under no obligation to sell him. I think he just signed a new contract back in November, so he probably has like 5 years left on his current contract. So they're under no obligation to sell him. Whether he wants to go, that's still up in the air. I think he might, like, obviously the stuff happened recently where he was saying before the Champions League final about how he was never like booed at United like how he is at Real Madrid, and how bad their fans are and everything. But if he does leave Real Madrid, then I think that we will be 100% favourites to sign him. I don't see any team that could get him over us. We're the richest club in the world, so that has the money aspect sorted. he obviously has United in his heart from his previous time here. The only question mark would be his relationship with Jose Mourinho, but I've read in the press today that apparently that isn't an issue and that Mourinho would want him.
I think any football manager would want Ronaldo. I think it would be ridiculous. But let's just say, hypothetically, that Ronaldo was interested in coming to Manchester United. I have read a few people saying don't want him, 32. As I said on the previous stream, which we've lost, he's not the player that he was at United, and for a lot of his time at Real Madrid, he's definitely lost a bit of pace, and he's not the skillful player anymore. I don't know why that is. If anyone's got an answer or wants to answer that, then certainly answer it. But I still think he's the best number 9 in the world currently, and I know he doesn't like to be called that. But how many? I mean, you mentioned before, Ross, that you'd be happy to pay any money for him. And by any money, I presume 150 million would probably be the ceiling. I don't think anyone would go above that. But how long do you think we'd get out of Ronaldo? He's a 32. Obviously, we've just had Zlatan at 35. Is he worth 150 million pounds at 32 years of age?
Yeah, Zlatan is the benchmark, isn't he, for sort of how much you're going to get out of him. And I think Zlatan's proved that at 35, with the right physique, and you can argue that Ronaldo's got the best physique out of everyone, you'll get a lot out of him. So, do you know what as well? With Zlatan watching him this season, all them chances he missed, Ronaldo would not have missed. He is the most prolific finisher in world football, which is what excites me about him. And the amount of chances we're creating, I think the style of play kind of suits Ronaldo, because he can do what Zlatan did last year, which is kind of meander about and just put the chances away that come to him. And I think if he looked at that last season, he'd have probably been thinking, like, that was 40 goals for me all day. And there is this Rooney, I mean, it's all hearsay, but there is this Rooney record that he come back and did 4 or 5 great years. He could break, and to me, that would polish him off.
Is he about 140 goals behind Rooney or something like that?
Something like that.
100
It's achievable.
Sorry, Alex.
I said 136.
He can do that.
It's achievable, that. And for me, just lastly to finish off, if he got 136 goals and was then named the greatest striker ever for Manchester United, as well as Real Madrid, best player in the world ever for me.
I mean, that's a good point there, Ross, and I'd throw that to you as well, Alex. I mean, you've got to sort of... This is probably not being asked. Lots of people have said, me included, I don't see it happening. I think it's a cry for help, and Madrid will give him that help. But what would be the attraction for Ronaldo to leave Real Madrid, the lifestyle, the fact that they can win another Champions League and have 3 in a row, the fact that he will always have a 1 in 2 chance of getting the Ballon d'Or, the fact that he can stat pad and have 6 or 7 hat-tricks a season and be better than Messi? Why would he, at 32, when he's already... I mean, Ross makes a good point. If he came to United and broke the goal record here, best player ever. For me, he already is the best player ever. I'm not saying he's a better player than Messi, but I just think what he's achieved is better, and he's more driven. Why would he want to come to Manchester United? I mean, I think that's a really good question that nobody ever has really sort of touched on. What would be, apart from the one that we would have as Manchester United fans, come back to Manchester United, prove yourself, be loved by the fans, why would he really fancy doing that?
Well, I think the main thing would be, like you said before, the goal record, because to be the top goal scorer of the 2 biggest clubs in the world is just an absolute, like, it doesn't even seem possible that would be able to be done, but he actually would have a realistic chance of doing it. But, I mean, he could. I don't think any person has ever won the Champions League, like, more than once with multiple clubs, as in, like, 2 with United and then 3 with Real or whatever he's on. So that could be another incentive. But also maybe if he does actually care about United, maybe to prove a point and bring them back to the top. You never know. It's like he's still kept in contact with Fergie after all this time. So maybe Fergie is giving him, like, in his ear, to wanting to bring United back to the top and win the Premier League again.
I'll just go back to you on Alex, just to mix it up there, because something just drops into my head. I'm reading a lot of comments here. Got to defend him, because I know you think Messi's better than Ronaldo anyway, and I don't, and we've said we probably should do a debate on it one day. Very quickly, I'd prefer Ronaldo to Messi because I can't stand Messi. No, I prefer Ronaldo to Messi because if I was a manager and I have coached people and I have played football, 10 times out of 10 I'd pick Ronaldo in my team over Messi. Messi's a better footballer than Ronaldo. I'm not arguing that. But who I would want in my team, I'd pick Ronaldo every day of the week because the way I want to play football, Ronaldo gives me more. He's stronger, he's better in the air, I think he's a better finisher. If you want somebody who's just going to grab hold the ball in between the number 10, in that number 10 position and run past 4 or 5 players and put it in the net, Messi's fantastic. He's good at free kicks. He's a good finisher. But I would put Ronaldo in my team every day of the week over that. And also, he's played for United, so I am slightly biased.
Yeah, in terms of that, like Zlatan put it best, talking about them, that it was when he was at PSG that some interviewer asked him who's better, Ronaldo or Messi, and he said that Messi's just like all talent, whereas Ronaldo's like a result of the training pitch. Because it was always said, like Rene Moulinsin used to say, that Ronaldo would be the first one into training, last one to leave, and he used to have like all the weights around his legs and doing the sprints of stuff like that to constantly improve himself. And that's what they said with Rooney as well, that if he would have had Ronaldo's dedication, that he could have been up to that Messi Ronaldo level. But yeah, he's just a consummate. Zlatan, I think is like a perfect example as well of like that he just looked after himself just like Ronaldo had. So in terms of what you asked Ross about that, how many years would you get with him, I think that because he looks after himself and he's adapted his game, he's not the player that left United, like taking it round players and stuff, that sort of exciting player, but he still guarantees you 40 to 50 goals a season, all competitions. So he would be worth the money alone just for that, because he basically guarantees you winning the league at least.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's a point I want to bring to Ross now, which is the one I was going to ask Alex, but I did the Messi thing, so Ross will get this good one. There's a lot of people going mad on there. Look, you can't make me change my mind. You can't say, Messi, you're an idiot, Messi's better. I can't explain it any better than Messi is the most talented footballer on the planet, but I would take Ronaldo because, for the reasons Alex just said there, he's a consummate professional, he's a superb athlete, and he's got the traits I would want as a number 9. I want somebody who's good in the air, who's good in the box, who's a born winner, who will fight to the end, and Ronaldo is a result of talent and the training ground. Rooney should be ashamed of himself, absolutely ashamed of himself, that he's younger than Ronaldo and he's finished. And Ronaldo's probably got 3 or 4 more years left at the top. But another great player who was a product of the training ground, David Beckham. You know, exactly the same attitude. First at training, last at training, practice, practice, practice. You've got to have, you know, if you're some crap 20-stone kid and you're about 13 and you think going to training first and going home last is going to make you a footballer, it's never going to happen. Keep eating the Big Macs. But if you've got talent, and on top of that talent you've got dedication, it's a golden ticket. And I think Ronaldo and Beckham in my lifetime are the two who are just an absolute example of that. But Alex touched on it there. It was in my head, Ross. If we did get Ronaldo, and I think this is worth talking about. I know people are saying we're not getting him, but we're sort of talking here about whether we do actually need him. And I think that is a very relevant point. If we got Ronaldo, and Alex said there he'd win us the Premier League, and I think he would as well, because I think he'd get 40 goals a season. We can't kid ourselves and think he's going to single-handedly win us it. You look at the last 2 or 3 years at Real Madrid, lots and lots of goals, but he's not that player like Messi anymore who gets the ball, goes past 3 or 4 players and scores. He's very reliant on the service. Now, if he got the service of last year, as much as we're critical about finishing 6th, you said it about Zlatan, you know, he would put those chances away. But if we did get Ronaldo, we would have to bloody make sure that we had the players around him to create the chances for him. And I said this last night, are we set up with the players we've got to actually accommodate Ronaldo's needs? And Ronaldo likes crosses into the box. We don't do that.
I think we'd have to adapt slightly, but there's a big difference to me between Ronaldo and Zlatan, and that's the fact that Zlatan is quite immobile and he expects the ball to be given to him wherever he is standing. Ronaldo's movement, I know he doesn't, you know, take it around people anymore, but his movement is fantastic. And I think when you've got the ball at Pogba's feet and you're Ronaldo looking, you know, because he'd have been watching United last season and looking at the chances that we were creating. I mean, Rashford misses quite a hatful of chances as well. I think Ronaldo's movement in our team, with the creativity that we've got Mkhitaryan, we've got Mata, obviously there needs to be improvements. And Ronaldo wouldn't come if he didn't know that there was, he would want to know the list that Jose's got when he comes in. But I think it'd just be phenomenal for us. And talking about the reasons as to why, going back to what you were saying earlier, reasons to why he would come, I think one of them is his absolute massive ego. And it would not surprise me if Ronaldo thinks in his head that he is the sole reason why Real Madrid win the Champions League. And it would not surprise me if Ronaldo thinks, if I join that United team, I will make them win the Champions League. Because that's how confident the guy is in his own abilities. And you know what? I just love to see it back at United. That ruthless confidence.
In fairness to him, though, arrogant or not, if you said it, if you put Ronaldo into that team last year, we would have won the league. The chances were there. The chances were there to win the league. We won the Europa League. We won the League Cup. We were robbed of the FA Cup by a dodgy ref. And I think we would have won the league with Ronaldo because the chances were there. And we have got some very good players in our team. You know, Pogba's going to get better and better. You know, whether it'll happen or not is another thing. There's a great comment here from Ruwu. He says, I don't care what anybody says, Fellaini is no Modric. Never a truer word said. But man, let's bring a bit of reality here because, you know, I don't want to be the channel that goes, let's not talk about it because it's never going to happen. Life's for living, life's for fun, life's for fantasy. Life is about it. And at the moment, he's leaving Real Madrid. I don't think he will, but at the moment he is. And as I said, if he leaves Real Madrid and we don't get him, then, you know, Woodward, Mourinho, they want chucking in a barrel and throwing in the sea because that would be inexcusable for him to go to PSG. He doesn't want to go to PSG. He'd want to come to United. We'd have to find the financial package to get him. And I think we would. But it's whether he stays at Real Madrid, and I'm 90% sure that he will do. But, Alex, it does sort of throw open the transfer market. There's a lot of people on the live comments that I'm reading there saying, where are we with this transfer window? What's going on with the transfer window? Do you think Manchester United will be reacting to this Ronaldo thing? And how far do you think they will have reacted to it? Do you think they'll have certain transfers on hold, like Perisic, Morata? Do you think they'll just carry on and think we're never going to get him anyway? Will they have put out the feelers through George Mendes, who obviously represents Ronaldo and Mourinho? And Mourinho and Mendes, I'm sure they were at each other's wedding. They get on very well. You know, surely Jose will have said, hey, George, have a quick word with Ronaldo while he's on Portuguese transfer duty and just have a word with him and say, is this just about getting something out of Real Madrid, or do you really want to go? Do you think United will have made those moves, or do you think United will just be, well, you know, we'll see what happens, we'll carry on?
With the Mendes thing is a great point because if he is actually serious about leaving, then I'm sure Jose would instantly know because Mendes is going to want a piece of that pie of like that massive transfer. If it is like 150 million, then you only have to look at the amount of money that Mia Raiola made with the Pogba transfer to think how much money Jorge Mendes would make with Ronaldo. But it's a difficult one. It does seem like the Ramos deal again and that he will end up just staying and signing a new contract, but you never know fully, and we have to be out there. But the one thing I just pray is that it isn't like the Moyes with Fabregas thing, how he spent the whole summer chasing Fabregas, and then that just turned to nothing, and then we panic bought Fellaini on the last day of the season. So I really hope that if we are serious about signing Morata, that the Ronaldo news hasn't like stalled that, because that would be ridiculous to put all our eggs in that basket. Obviously, a million times over, I would have Ronaldo over Morata, but it's a very dangerous game.
Sorry to interrupt, but I suppose from Morata's point of view, thinks he's coming to Manchester United as our number 9, which is a debate in itself whether he's good enough. I mean, I think he can be. But if you're Morata and you suddenly think Ronaldo's coming, well, you know you're not going to play at number 9. You're going to be on the bench again, aren't you? And also, as I said at the start, Real Madrid might be thinking, well, until we've sorted Ronaldo out, we're not selling anybody. So or Man United might be thinking, if we can get Ronaldo, we don't want Morata. So there's actually 3 things that could hold that deal up.
Exactly, like that's actually a good point about the Ronaldo potentially holding up the Morata thing. It's just, I don't see Real Madrid selling Ronaldo back to us anyway, to be honest, even if they were willing to sell. I don't think they'd sell to us, but it's hard. I just really, I'd like to think that Ed Woodward learned from his mistakes and that he wouldn't do such a monumental mess up once again. So let's hope so. But like I said, none of the deals seem close at the moment, so it is kind of worrying.
Yeah, 20 days is what I know the transfer window goes till the end of August, but I think if you're signing players in August, you're Arsenal and you're desperate. And I think as well, this is the big season for Manchester United. This is the big season. Mourinho always wins the title in his second year. The US tour, as much as it's glitzy, glamorous, and we all enjoy it because we get to play like Real Madrid and Barcelona, and I love it. I can't wait for it. But it's not just a tour, just to earn a bit of money. From Jose's point of view, it's a great place to go with the team that he's going to use next season and build some camaraderie, morale, and consistency. And as Alex said about Pogba, and as we all pretty much know, the Pogba deal took a while because he'd been playing for France, and he was on holiday, and it was a late deal. And we didn't, he didn't play in the first couple of games, did he? I think he made his debut against Southampton, and it took a bit of time. So Mourinho won't want to risk points like that again. But as I said, Ross, there, I think it's I can't give the answer on this. I don't know what the answer is, but that George Mendes thing, him being the same agent for our manager and Ronaldo, I'd be stunned if we haven't at least, because Mourinho always wins the title in the second season. I'm sure a month ago he'd have no concept that he was going to sign Ronaldo. Tonight he might think, bloody hell, I'm putting these plans in place to win the title. It'll be a lot easier if I can get hold of Cristiano Ronaldo. And I know Woodward likes a Galactico, and I know the United fans would bloody worship me if I brought Ronaldo back. I'm sure he is at least sort of in his head finding out what the chances are. And it may be that Mendes says to him, look, this is all just paper talk. It's just manoeuvring to get Real Madrid to help him out, get rid of these charges. He doesn't really want to leave, in which case Mourinho goes, fine, focuses on his targets. But it is an interesting dilemma.
Yeah, Woodward gets a lot of stick because he had a terrible transfer window under David Moyes, but he's actually done some phenomenal things for our club. He's brought in some really good players like Di Maria, Falcao. They just haven't worked because we had a dinosaur of a manager. But we're in a different position now to what we were with the Ramos deal, which is what I'm clinging on to. I do agree, Alex. I think it stinks for the Ramos deal, but we haven't got Van Gaal as a manager. Woodward, he can't let this happen again. And that Georgie Mendes thing is massive, because is Mendes going to mess around his number one client, which is Jose Mourinho, because he's the one that signs normally all Mendes' players, apart from last season where it seems to be Raiola. But there would have been a conversation. They'd have, like you said, Mark, they have each other's numbers. There would have been a conversation. And Mourinho will know now, even if Ronaldo's fighting for a new contract, he'll know about it. So you like to think we're in the driving seat regardless, but I do think there's something in this Morata thing. It's gone so quiet, very quiet, almost at the point where it has stalled. And it's either because Madrid are worried about Ronaldo, or it's because we've maybe pulled the plug because, you can't sign them both. I kind of, with the whole Belotti-Morata thing, I kind of got worried for Morata because it would be the worst thing for him to leave Madrid and come play for United and sit on the bench. I mean, that would be ridiculous, but it could happen. So there's something in this stall. I really do think there is. And I think for the time being, the Morata deal is potentially off.
I agree with you. I think it has stalled. If you'd asked me before this Ronaldo thing broke on Friday why it stalled, I thought it was because Real Madrid just wants silly money for him, and it is silly money. He's not worth 70, 80 million pounds at all. I think he'd do a good job for United. I mean, Ross has just answered it there, Alex. I don't know what a lot of people at home are thinking, so get commenting. But would you sign them both if in the fantasy Ronaldo was available? Do we need Morata as well?
Well, I think, to be fair, I don't really watch that much Real Madrid, but from what I saw from the Champions League, he's still playing as a quote-unquote winger with Benzema as the striker, so you could sign them both and then Morata just play as a striker and Ronaldo play on the wing, but it does kind of limit you on the wing. I mean, if Luke Shaw's back and can actually do that job of the pace and skill down that side and putting in the crosses, then that would be helpful because Ronaldo hasn't got the legs to do that anymore. But it is possible to sign them both, but whether we do or not, I think if we sign Ronaldo, then that's going to really take a massive chunk out of our transfer budget. So I don't know whether it is really worthwhile to sign Morata as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, I did watch Ronaldo play for Portugal today, and he basically was a number 9, and that's where I'd play him for United if we could get hold of him. And just on George Mendes thing, as much as he is close to Mourinho, when you actually look at the last 12 months, as I think it was Ross who said about Mini Raiola, I expected Mendes to do quite a few deals for us. He's not done any yet. And actually, when you look at it, over the last 12 months, since we've pretty much known we were going to get Mourinho, he let Renato Sanchez go to Bayern Munich when he knew Mourinho wanted him. Bernardo Silva was another of his clients. He went to Manchester City. Fabinho's another one of his clients and doesn't look like he's coming. And these are all players that we would have liked at United. So just because there is that Mendes-Mourinho thing, I mean, what it probably says to me is that Mourinho didn't want Bernardo Silva, doesn't want Fabinho, and I don't know what went wrong with Renato Sanchez. But it is interesting, and I don't know what's going to go on this week, but I do think that the next 2-3 weeks are massive, because then we're on the US tour. And if by next Sunday's show and the Sunday show after that we still haven't brought players in, I would be starting to think what's going on with our transfer list. The Perisic deal just doesn't make much sense to me. I like the player. I don't understand why it's taking so long. Why are we bargaining over what appears to be 5 million? I think we want to pay 35. I think Inter Milan want 40. We shouldn't go above 40, by the way. But yeah, it just seems to be stalling a little bit. But one of the things I do want to talk about is Anthony Martial. His agent was coming out a couple of weeks ago saying that he will stay at United, but over the last couple of days, I don't know whether people have noticed it, but it's sort of feeding out again that he might not stay at Manchester United. What would be your thoughts in a hypothetical, Ross, if Martial was sold this summer?
I'd be very disappointed. I think he needs, like Memphis, he just needs another crack at it, another chance. Even if I think Memphis give himself up with his attitude and his performances in training. I think Martial's got to pick that up as well, because there is a little bit of the Memphis syndrome about him, but he's got bags more talent than Memphis ever had. And I'd like to see him given a bit more of a chance. I don't think he will go either. I think it's all nonsense. So I'd hope he stayed. And again, I think Jose picks on him a little bit, because he wants to see more out of him, and he wants to see more because he knows there's more to give. Same with Luke Shaw. So I think they'll both firmly be with us next season. And I think the outs will be, it's not that I want to see, but I just don't think we're going to sell many players this summer. I think a couple of defenders, and that'll probably be it.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing about Ross there. Evil Duck did well to delete that comment. You see some funny comments on the live comments, but Katie Lopez just took the biscuit. She's feeling lonely, and if you fancy something that rhymes with duck, give her a little call quick. But he deleted it. Good work by the Evil Duck. But why is one of those floating around on a United fan channel stream? I suppose it takes all thoughts and all sorts. Yeah, and I mean, Martial, Alex, I said that it sort of reminds me of the Memphis situation we were talking around this time last year, because I love Martial, but if we're in a year's time, we're in a situation where he's had the same season as he's just had. As much as I love him, I think I would say he's got to go. But it's too early. He's got to be given next season. But I do think it is a watershed season for him. He's got to get his head round it. He's got to be the player that we know he can be. But if we sold him this summer like Ross, I'd be very angry with Jose, I must admit.
Oh God, yeah, I'd be fuming if we sold him. But like you said, he can't really afford to have another season like the one we've just had. He really needs to start bucking up his ideas. When he's on form, he is like, after Pogba, like one of, at least in the top 3 of our most talented players. He just needs to actually start showing it more, like what he can do. Because he literally has so much potential, but it's just frustrating. I think like with Van Gaal's style of play, that it more played into Martial's thing. And you always hear that thing of second season syndrome. So obviously he had such a brilliant first season that it would be hard to like match it. So we just need to hope that he does kick on. But the thing with me is as well that I feel that he didn't really get that many chances last season. I know some people say, oh yeah, he had plenty of chances to impress. But he needed, like, even if he was playing poorly, he needed like 5 games in a row or something, which he never got. So he's not going to get form if he just keeps getting like dropped and like replaced. And it was that one thing. I think it was Martial. It was like Martial was sure that Mourinho was like, oh, he has to be absolutely phenomenal if he's in this game to start the next game. And I think he did play really well. We got an assist. We came on the show here saying like, oh yeah, he's definitely going to start next game after that performance. Then he was on the bench again.
I think he got treated unfairly, and I always compare it to Lingard, who I thought was bang average for most of the season, but got picked week in, week out. And Rashford, Rashford and Martial are my favourite two players at United, and I think Rashford got treated favourably. But I think this is, Mourinho was quite open about that. It's about attitude, isn't it, in training? And if you're crap like Lingard, you are going to go and fetch the cones in. You are going to take the kit home and wash it every night because you want to be liked and you want to be an arse licker. But I think Martial's got a little bit, he's had a lot of stuff going on in his private life. But I do agree with you, Alex. I remember the Everton game just before Christmas. He was man of the match. He set Zlatan up, and Fellaini came on and ruined the whole game, and we all forgot about it. But Martial has had good game. I think it's a myth to say he had a bad season. He played well, and then he'd have a bad game and he'd get kicked out, or he'd have a bad half an hour and he'd get kicked out, and he never got given the leeway people like Lingard did. But maybe we're going to find out if Mourinho's just got a dislike for him and forces him out of the club. But if it was this season, I don't know, and I think Mourinho's the right man and I really like him, I wouldn't really be very happy about him getting rid of Martial, and I'd be quite vocal about it, like I think a lot of people would. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, Carlos said that Ronaldo and Griezmann would be a good pair to sign for United. Bloody hell, they would. I definitely can tell you that one of them is not going to sign for United. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, okay. So what I'll talk about, just to stick with Madrid for a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, we sort of reacted that De Gea was going to stay. And again, I've always felt that he was going to go. And over the last 2 weeks again, it seems to be building momentum that he's going to go again. Ross, you've always been consistent that you think he will stay. Have you got any concerns over the last 2 weeks? Because it's not headline news, but if you scratch just below the surface, there's lots of mentions of him again and Real Madrid. And obviously I've always said this, whether it's Morata or Rodriguez or whoever we're trying to get from Real Madrid, it's a very dangerous thing to be trying to do business with Real Madrid when you know they want your goalkeeper, and you pretty much know that your goalkeeper wouldn't mind going back to Madrid. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm still confident. I really am. And mate, I think the reason why it's come up again is because of the Ronaldo thing. I think people think that there could be a swap deal, and they don't happen anymore. I firmly think Real Madrid are going to sign that Donnarumma from AC Milan. I think that's definitely going to happen. I think it's the right transfer for them, to be honest, because it is a bit out of order for their goalkeeper, who's performed, fantastically for 2, 3, even 4 seasons now. But yet they're constantly trying to replace him, and he's an absolute fan favourite. I just think the Gea ship sailed with Real Madrid. I don't think he'll stay at United for the rest of his career. I think that there could be a move back to Atletico some point at a later date. But I just can't see that transfer happening. I think there's too many roadblocks. There's the negotiations with Real Madrid and Manchester United that don't seem to be happening. Because if they want 70, 80 million pounds for Morata, Pickford's going for 30, we are going to want a phenomenal amount of money for De Gea. Will Real Madrid pay it when Donnarumma was going for, probably not even 20 million? I can't see it myself.
A few people saying they want to call in. This is Sunday Night Live. You can call in tomorrow. Skype Goldbridge, 8:30 tomorrow night. Call in. You'll be on. It's your show tomorrow night. Just for those who want to get involved, definitely you can do. Monday, Thursday, 8:30. What was I going to say? I just feel about this transfer window, it's either going to be mundane for some people, sort of workman-like. You sign Morata, Perisic, Lindelof, Eric Dyer, and some people aren't happy. People like myself think, yeah, I could have done with a bit of a glamour signing, but I can see what he's doing there. He's just improving the squad. Or it's going to be, and we've had a few good summers, like Ross said, it's going to be the most epic summer there's ever been for Manchester United. And last summer was pretty bloody good. Just envisage this scenario for a moment. We get Ronaldo, De Gea goes to Real Madrid, we get Donnarumma. Straight away you're like, bloody hell, because Donnarumma really interests me, because that move, Alex, is very interesting because he's come out and said he's not going to Juventus, so he's not the Buffon replacement. He said he won't play for anybody else in Serie A, so he's not staying in Italy. I thought he'd stay at AC Milan because they've got a lot of fresh money, so they would have offered him a new contract. His agent is Miniriola, who did a lot of deal with, loves to do business with Manchester United now. He surely he's not going to go to PSG because it's the same with anybody who goes to PSG. That is a pub league, then they'll never win the Champions League. So it's got to be money-wise. It's going to either be Premier League or La Liga, i.e. it's going to be a handful of teams from England. Well, probably, actually, Donnarumma, probably Chelsea, City and United are the only people who could afford him. La Liga, be Barcelona or Real Madrid. Bayern Munich have got Neuer, so they're not going to get him. So there's 5 clubs that can get Donnarumma as far as I'm concerned. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester City, Chelsea, Manchester United. And he's hit the nail on them. He's per 100% hammered his flag to the mast. Where's he going? And is that anything to do with De Gea, do you think?
I don't know how he is with his feet, but I can just imagine that Pep is absolutely kicking himself that he signed that nobody from Benfica.
Yeah.
And now
he's not going to City. I retract that. So it's 4 clubs. And Chelsea have got Cortez, so he's not going there. I mean, effectively, he's probably... Barcelona, maybe.
Did you just say Cortez?
Pardon?
Did you say Cortez?
What's his name? Thibaut?
Courtois.
Oh, fuck him. I don't know. He's a nobody to me. He doesn't matter to me. He plays for Chelsea. But, he's not going Chelsea. He's not going City. Very good point. They've signed that bloody unknown from Benfica.
Like, they'd signed him already before that AC Milan announcement was made. So they must be absolutely fuming that they couldn't get him. If I was them, I would just even try to just sign him now and just have this new guy as their backup keeper. But in terms of us, I think we will obviously go all out for him if De Gea does leave, but I'm in the Ross camp with this, that I think De Gea will stay in. I think the only risk we have of him not retiring at United is if Oblak leaves Atletico or if Barca comes sniffing. It would only be Atletico or Barca that could take him now if Real Madrid lose interest in him.
I think the Donnarumma thing's really interesting. There's a lot of comments. I mean, Pascal says he's going to Real Madrid or Juventus. Well, I read today he said he's not going to Juventus and he's not going anywhere in Serie A. So it becomes even narrower. I don't think he'll go to Barcelona either. I think he's going to Real Madrid or Manchester United. And that means either De Gea is staying. You can take... I mean, it's a flip of the coin. De Gea is staying at Manchester United and Real Madrid get Donnarumma, or De Gea is going to Real Madrid and we're going to get Donnarumma and Real is going to have another chunk of money. But the Donnarumma thing probably hasn't got enough sort of publicity because him doing that, he's nailed his flag to the mast. Like I say, he is leaving AC Milan and there's only 1 or 2 clubs he can go to. De Gea is staying very, very quiet, which I think he's had his fingers burnt before with the fax machine. I don't think he will publicly force the move. I think Real Madrid would love him to force the move. Florentino Perez wants the Spanish goalkeeper in Real Madrid. I'm not convinced that Zidane and Real Madrid teammates want De Gea. I think, like Ross said, Navas is well liked, but just because the Real Madrid manager's about as safe as the Real Madrid traffic warden on match day. It's not a secure job. You don't go to the president and say, I don't want De Gea, because the president there says, shut up or I'll sack you. I want De Gea. That's how it works there. So it's interesting. I think this summer is, like I say, it's either going to be very predictable and we will just sign Perisic, Morata, Lindelof and Eric Dyer and we'll have to deal with it, or there's something in this summer that we just can't predict. And I don't know what you think, Ross, and I want to get Alex's opinion on it as well. But I just think at the moment, apart from probably Perisic and Morata, and I think the Morata deal, for the reasons we've discussed, 1, does Morata want to come because of Ronaldo? 2, does Real Madrid want to do a deal while they're dealing with Ronaldo? 3, do United want to sign Morata when there's a chance they might get Ronaldo? So that's stalling. Perisic, I don't know why it's stalling. And anything else, any other deal, whether it's De Gea, whoever, it's shut down. Manchester United have just shut it down. Nobody knows. I know this in the nose, and I need retweets, and I want people to read my article, and United are doing this, that, and the other, and that's nothing new. That's been going on for years. But it's abundantly clear that no one's got a bloody clue what United are up to, and in a way, that's very exciting. And my interpretation is that it won't be a mundane summer. I think there's going to be a couple of big events in the next. Well, it must probably in the next month.
Yeah, I hope so. Eric Dyer, for me, I think that would be an absolute tragic signing. I really, really don't rate him. Perisic, I haven't really seen a lot of. I have heard a rumour about why he's stalled, which may be true, it may not, which is the fact that Inter Milan are negative 30 million for their financial fair play this year, and they have to have that money in the bank by the 31st of June. And the rumour was that Woodward's offered them £30 million, bang on the money, and not a penny more. And it's just waiting out to see if they will sell any other players to make up the figure. That's the rumour anyway. But if it is, I think it's a fantastic move. And again, we're not going to get our pants down, pulled down by a club that need the money in the short space of time. But yeah, I think that there has to be something else for Manchester United to not go for Fabinho. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. I don't get it. And I just think that it's the press talking, because they probably don't really know what we're going to do. I think United recently have actually done really well with not getting rumours and leaks out there. I know Lindelof got leaked over January time, but then we ended up not signing him. So, yeah, I'm with you, Mark. I just think that there's going to be something else. And if it is Ronaldo, fantastic. It was obviously going to be Griezmann. That ended, but they'll be looking at another option. And it's not Eric Dyer. It can't be.
It's, you know what, I'm totally comfortable that nobody knows anything that's going on at the moment. I've certainly not had anything. I don't think anyone has that I can, I'd feed out. We did have it 2 weeks ago about Lindelof. Robin said 99% he's coming to United. This was about a week before he signed. And I did feed it out, but I said I'm not going to say it's going to happen because I've had my fingers burnt there before. I don't know anything. I don't know anything at the moment. I can't even say somebody's saying this is going to happen. We did hear stuff about Bale, which I personally don't believe, but the exciting thing is anything can happen, and United can do anything, and certainly in England, not everybody can. Nobody in England can sign Ronaldo. There's only United who could get him. We don't know Rooney's future. That's big. We don't know what's going to happen with that. The funny thing as well is that about 3 weeks ago, I think it was on a Monday, I did my predicted top 5 United signings. I did it last year and only got 1 out of 5 with Zlatan. This year I've already got 1 out of 5 with Lindelof, and my other 4 were Kylian Mbappe, Belotti, Morata and Fabinho. 3 days later, I think it was The Independent, had the same 5. Now either they watched the United stand or they've predicted coincidentally the same thing as we did, but then that started to go all around social media that was the 5 people we were saying. Well, 3 days before, it was in my head, that's the 5 I predict. I've not been told that. That's just me guessing at it. And I think that, as Ross said there, everybody's just bloody guessing, and they have to guess. It's been going on for years. Every summer we're always signing Gareth Bale. We're never signing Gareth Bale. It's a way for people to sell articles, because as I said to you last night, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal transfer news all together won't get as many clicks as something to do with Manchester United. It's always been like that. Manchester United will get, especially media outlets like your papers, will get a lot of interest if they run something about Manchester United. They don't know anything, but they're feeding it out there. It's very exciting, but I just feel, Alex, that something will happen. And do you? And if you had to be pressed, who would be this star player that you think we would get?
I mean, there was those rumours of Jose saying about how when he was interviewed at the Monaco Grand Prix that there was going to be a surprise, but I think that was, like, the surprise was meant to be Griezmann, and obviously that fell through. I think that if we do, well, we obviously will sign people, but I think it would just be the ones in the paper, like it would just be Morata, Perisic, and then... to be fair, I think we still could end up getting Fabinho, because Spurs are no way going to sell us Eric Dyer, and thank God, because don't get me wrong, I don't want him. And I don't see Chelsea selling us Matic, and, well, I hope they don't anyway.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't, yeah.
But I'd rather have Matic than Eric Dyer anyway. I know Drulty seems to be a big fan of Eric Dyer for some God knows reason. Because he was comparing him to Carrick. But every time, to be fair, I mainly just watch him when he plays for England, because obviously I'm English and watch England's games, and he's absolutely crap. So it really annoyed me if United got him in. As you saw, if anyone watched that England versus France game the other day, Paul Pogba versus Eric Dyer, you saw what a Manchester United midfielder should be and what an average Premier League midfielder is with Dyer versus Pogba. But overall, yeah, I just think it'll be the ones we're linked with, because I don't see like any superstar signing happening, which it does surprise me, because I thought that we were going to start being like bringing in a Galactico every single summer, because I thought that's what Woodward wants, and that's what he has said in the past that he wanted to do. But
I think he does, to be fair. I do think he does, and I think you hit the nail on the head. This summer was meant to be Griezmann. It takes a long time to sort these deals out, and that was running for months. And whether it was morale, whether it was honest, whether it was a real great thing to do or not, the bottom line is he pulled the plug on a deal very, very late for Manchester United, and it might have left us unable to do it. A Galactico this summer, but he was going to be it, and we were all. I think he would have fitted us like a glove.
Yeah, but at the same time, I agree. But I know it does seem like sour grapes, like saying it now. But I genuinely like thinking about it. And don't get me wrong, I would love Griezmann. I would have loved Griezmann. And I still do think we'll get him next summer, because if he, for some reason, he signed like his contract extension. I read it was only a year contract extension. And if he says, in his statement, he's like, and I can't wait to play like another season, like singular, not plural. At
Same release fee as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and same buyout clause, which basically means next summer he's going to go. But I genuinely don't see where he would have fit into this team. Like, you can understand with Morata and stuff where he'd play, but Griezmann isn't a Jose-type striker, so I don't know why we were getting him in the first place, unless we're going
theoretically, do you think we'd still get Griezmann next year if, theoretically, we got Ronaldo this year and he took the number 7? So Griezmann come and he couldn't even have his favourite shirt. Do you think he'd still come?
Not if we got Ronaldo, but if we don't get Ronaldo, I think Griezmann 100% is going to happen next year.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it was like the same with, I think, Shaw and Herrera, and wasn't there another player as well? I can't think off the top of my head. That they basically said, "Oh yeah, okay, we'll come the year after." Like, it's happened quite a few times. Memphis as well. Like, LPG said, "Oh yeah, I'll sign you the year after." So it does happen quite often. So I think he will come next summer. I mean, the Pogba links with Griezmann are obvious for everyone to see, and as long as we have a decent season, I do see him coming.
Unless he watched the United stand when he pulled out, and I called him I've called him every name under the sun. He might think again, but I'm sure he wouldn't.
Yeah, if he does sign, you're going to have to delete all those videos.
Let me just read some of the super chats because they've built up now. Marcel Dimitri says, guess what day it is today? I think he'll give us an answer. Mads Fieldbeck says, Josh Harrop is out of contract this summer, yet to be offered a new deal. Do you think we should keep him and perhaps loan him out? You know what? I think it was really nice the last game of the season against Palace where all the young players played, but I did say the next day none of them are going to be Manchester United quality. They'll all end up being players like Robbie Brady.
Gomez will.
Oh yeah. I mean, Gomez, Twansidi, Fosu Mensah, yes. But I'm talking about the other lot, even Mitchell, who played quite well at left-back, and the midfield lad, was it McTurney? I can't remember.
It was just like another thing, like when we played all like Donald Love and then like Ryan Tunnicliffe and players like that. It just seemed like that. But then, Angel Gomez, I think 100% will make it.
Yeah, Fosu Mensah, Twansidi, and Chong, if he'd been fit, probably would have played. He's got a great chance. But Harrop's goal was very good, but I mean, Robbie Brady's a very good player and he didn't make it at Manchester United. So, no, I don't think Harrop will make it. And he's older than a lot of people think. I think he's 21 or 22. Alex Matter says, if United get Ronaldo, we would be better at corners, but we would sacrifice free kicks for it. Yeah, he's not great at free kicks anymore, although I'll never forget that Portsmouth one. Vatsal Singania says, let's soak this in. At Silden Highlights just said that Firmino is better than Ronaldo. By the way, Mark, love the channel and your unbiased views on United. I don't know whether I'm unbiased, but thanks for that. Firmino's better than Ronaldo. Firmino's barely better than the fat Ronaldo. And Jared Passerman says, I am nervous about Klopp, Orba, Salah going to Liverpool. I've not heard about Aubameyang going to Liverpool. And Martial Dimitri comes back. It's his birthday. So happy birthday, Marcel. Anybody heard? Ross, you heard anything about Aubameyang going to Liverpool? Gone a bit high pitch there. Worried.
I'm not worried one bit. Why the hell would Aubameyang go to Liverpool FC? It makes no sense. And absolutely no chance. I think Klopp will be trying to get players like that in, but he's going to struggle. And then that's not detriment to Liverpool. I do call them a small club, but it's only banter. They probably could pull players like that in with what they are, but they don't have the financial power that the top three clubs, which are Chelsea, United and City, as financial powers. They just cannot offer wages that we can. And these players like Aubameyang will be looking at PSGs, looking at high-end wages, and they're going to go to Liverpool and earn 90 grand a week, and yeah, no chance.
Yeah, I tell you what though, I'd be bloody furious, Alex, if we did sign Morata, and I think Morata can be a good player. If we sign Morata and Liverpool get Aubameyang, I don't care what anybody says, they've done us over there. They've got the better signing. Aubameyang would be my, apart from Ronaldo, who I think is the best number 9 in the world, Aubameyang is the one player that I think would be perfect for Manchester United as a number 9. He's got the pace, he can score off both feet, he's quite tall, he runs the channel really well. He's better than Morata. So that would be inexcusable from United to let... I've always said that Aubameyang wants to go to Real Madrid. If he moves this summer and doesn't go to Real Madrid and we're not at the front of the queue, I think that's a mistake, because I think him in the Premier League, he would score a lot of goals.
Yeah, he would do, and obviously he's a class striker, but I don't know whether he'd suit our play style, because he's going to get a lot less space at United than he does at Dortmund, and to be fair, against the better teams, we do try to hit them on the counter. So for those sorts of games, he'd be really good for. But we need someone who can break down teams when they're just absolutely parking it, which is something Ronaldo can do, and Morata, I bloody hope can do. It's something Zlatan did well against the lesser teams. So, yeah, obviously he would be a brilliant signing of Aubameyang, but I really don't see Liverpool signing him. I think it's just like how when United had LVG as our manager, we just got linked to every single Dutch player. So now Liverpool have Klopp as manager, they just get linked to every single Dortmund player, it seems.
Yeah, it is true. Vince Chapman's just made a contribution, Alex, and he says, shout out to Alex, making more sense nowadays. So there you go. Ross, you haven't had one, but that means you probably just make sense. People don't feel the need to make a comment about it.
Either that or just chat nonsense.
What else was I going to say? What about Lukaku's not signed for Chelsea yet? I mean, apparently that was going to be £100 million. I think it's hilarious. And I do love Twitter anyway, but I do love some of the compilations people put together about Lukaku and his first touch. I mean, Lukaku's first touch could almost be a children's book. Where's Lukaku's first touch today? Oh, it's on the Great Wall of China. After the home game against Southampton, Lukaku's first touch is now taking a tour of the Great Wall of China. And next week, it will be at the Sydney Opera House, because, he has got a disgraceful first touch. I ain't got a massive problem with Lukaku. I just wouldn't want him at United. Any concerns, or would you be happy with him? Not signed for Chelsea yet. Conte is meant to be a bit unsettled. Going back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, nobody really seems to know what United are up to. Lukaku?
I don't know. I mean, he is obviously a good Premier League player, but there's this stat that went around, and it is actually true, that if you take away all of Lukaku's goals this season, that Everton would still be in the exact position that they are in now. So he doesn't really come up with the goods when they need it, so he'll score like when Everton are already winning or whatever. But
that's amazing, that is.
Yeah. No, it is true though as well. Look it up. But he is a great player, but I think Chelsea fans, as much as they'll try, because I think my mate seems to think, and it happened with United as well, so I don't know why, if he's already seen it happen with United, that he thinks it's going to be any different with Chelsea, about how they have this new Nike sponsorship, and he thinks that they're waiting until the 1st of July to announce their players, and that's what they're waiting for, so that Lukaku's already done and he'll just be announced then.
Yeah.
But I think that they're getting all excited about him, but he's worse than Costa, and I don't care what anyone says, he's 100% worse than Costa, so it's a step down, so it isn't anything, like, he's not going to win in the league. Well, famous last words, don't say that, but would I take him at United? Yes, but am I overly fussed if he goes to Chelsea? No. It's like a hard one. It's like I don't really care either way, basically.
If we signed him, I'd back Mourinho, because I don't not back Mourinho. And if we sign Eric Dyer, I don't think I think it's a mistake, but I'll back Mourinho. I don't really back him when he picks Fellaini. I think he's got something wrong in his head for that. But managers make mistakes. I think Lukaku would be a mistake. I think he'd score a lot of goals against teams like Bournemouth, and maybe when you look at last season, that would help us a lot. But I think against the big clubs, he's just not got it. And I've not seen him do it against United, apart from an end-of-season exhibition game for Sir Alex Ferguson, and it wasn't an exhibition, it was the last game of the season against West Brom, and he scored a hat-trick for West Brom, but it ended about 10-all that game, and when it matters, whether it's the semi-final last season at Wembley, whether it's the 2 times we played him this season, he never turns up against United. And his first touch is diabolical as well. That's not what I want from a number 9. I want somebody who can get the ball and hold it up and feed other people into it. And we've had that. If you want Lukaku, then really you should all be saying why are we getting rid of Wayne Rooney? Because there's not a lot of difference when it comes to their first touch. Abysmal, and that's one of the biggest reasons I don't want Lukaku. 1, because he doesn't do it in the big games, and 2, his first touch. And I'm fully aware there are people out there who keep going on and on about it, but they've probably never played football at any decent level themselves. I don't know. I mean, Ross, you might bury me on this now, but I just don't want him at the club, mainly because I can't stand his first touch. I think it's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, the issue that I'm having at the minute with United and all their transfers is I'm kind of like Alex. If he'd come, I wouldn't be too overly disappointed. But I think what's happening is a lot of United fans, including myself, are just getting carried away with the ideology of signing a striker. I think we all want a striker, and at the minute we all want Morata because we are at the minute we're looking at Morata and Lukaku, and everyone's gone, well, let's bring in Morata. I think if you listed about 7 or 8 forwards across Europe, Aubameyang being one of them, a few others, I can't name them all off my head, Morata would come quite low down on that list. I think we'd all have Aubameyang over Morata. I just think we're so desperate to get this striker position sorted or position sorted. I think we're kind of settling for Morata. And do you know what? If you ask me hand on heart, do I think Morata's worth 80 million quid, 200 grand a week? I'd say absolutely not. Same with Lukaku, but it's just looking like that's the signing that's going to happen. So I've kind of settled for it, like a lot of United fans, and kind of want to see it happen. But I'd still probably rather assign, an Mbappe or an Aubameyang.
Yeah, I'd agree. And to be honest, as much as we've spent a lot of time talking about Ronaldo, if you're asking me who I think the star signing will be if we make one, I still think we've got a great chance of getting Mbappe because it's abundantly clear that we're after him. He may well end up at Real Madrid, but I do think United want Mbappe, and I do think Mbappe will move. And again, a bit like Donnarumma, I think there's only 2 places that Mbappe goes, and that's Real Madrid or Manchester United. So we'll have to wait and see. Steve Evans says, clueless reasoning, Mark, about Lukaku. Well, no, I've given you 2 reasons why I wouldn't want Lukaku. 1, he doesn't turn up against big teams, and 2, he's got the first touch of my brick wall. That's not clueless reasoning. It's called my opinion. Your opinion may be different to that, but it's not clueless reasoning. It's backed up on fact, and it's backed up on what I've seen of him. So you should come back with something a little bit more meaty than that, Steve, if you want to get into a debate. But well done. You've been mentioned on the show. Hernandez, Alex, watched him today against Portugal. We sold him for peanuts, but I think he's only got a year left on his contract. He wants to move from Leverkusen. Never should have been sold in the first place, much like Nani and Raphael and Van Persie. Backup striker, 15 million. He's only about 28, 29. I'd bring him back tomorrow. His movement is just absolutely... we talk about what Ronaldo would have done in Zlatan's position last year, but I think Jose even said it himself. If we'd had Hernandez part of the squad in them last 10 minutes in many games last year, we'd have won so many more points. And we'd probably get him at a very good price. And he knows the club inside out. Would you bring him back?
As a main striker, not a hope in hell. But as a sub, then yeah, I probably would. But the thing is that he wouldn't accept coming back as a sub, I don't think. I think he wants to be at this stage especially after playing all of those, what's been away 2 seasons with Leverkusen as their main striker. He's not going to want to come back as a sub, and it would probably kind of hinder Rashford's progress. So I wouldn't because the thing is that I've always had against Hernandez is that he's just basically like a fox in the box type of player, like a poacher. But I prefer a type of striker like an RVP or a Rooney that actually contributes to other stuff in play rather than just goals. Whereas Hernandez, if you play him, yeah, you will get goals, but it's literally like playing with 10 men apart from when he's just doing the tap-ins because he doesn't contribute anything else. I think in his whole career, he scored 1 goal outside of the box, which is when he was at Real Madrid, scored from quite far out.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a good guy. He was on loan there, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good goal, but I still I'm speaking from a biased perspective because I still haven't forgiven his comments of when he was at Real Madrid saying about, it's when he was on loan from us saying that, it makes me really happy to sign for the biggest club in the world and stuff. But yeah, I would take him, especially for 15 million, I definitely would, but never ever as a main striker.
Everybody, there's lots of people watching. It's the first time I've said it tonight, and I normally have said it a couple of times. Please drop a like on the video because we should be able to get past 1,000 while we're live. So please drop a like on the video. And if you have stumbled across us, which I know a lot of people do during the summer, remember to click the subscribe button, bottom right hand corner. Fantastic community. Tomorrow night at 8:30, we've got the Skype show where you can call in. Live comments is always up. So get involved. I've been reading a lot of the live comments while I've been listening to Alex and Ross, and some really good opinions on there. Would you take Hernandez back, Ross? I mean, I do agree with Alex, by the way. He's built, I can't moan at about Lukaku and then say Hernandez comes back, but Lukaku would be coming in for a lot of money to be our number 9. Hernandez, I agree with Alex, he'd have to be a last 20 minutes player because his build-up play is pretty shit.
I'm going to probably talk nonsense again because I've got a bit of a soft spot for Hernandez, and when he signed, he was actually my favourite player at United, and I got him on the back of, I think it was the first player that I got on the back of my top, because I used to always get my own name. And I absolutely love the guy, and I think he does contribute to other things. I watch him for Mexico, and his movement and it just he can occupy 2 centre backs with his movements, and that's what I expect from a striker. Absolutely love us to sign Hernandez, and I'd probably rather sign him than Morata, to be honest. But because I like the development of Rashford, I just think that if you sign Hernandez, Rashford's probably our starting number 9, but it's game by game. It's how you manage it, because a lot of the time we don't need a striker for build-up play, especially in these games against Swanseas and Bournemouth, when all they do is sit back.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Who would you have if we sign Morata or any striker, then Rashford, I'm guessing, is going to play on the left wing. But who do you actually think, because I'm sure this is a debate in itself, is better? Like, not take away current form, but who is the better player, Rashford or Martial? Because it will be either or, because one of them is going to have to be playing then. You think Rashford? Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. Hands down Rashford for me. What, you, Mark?
What, Rashford or Martial? Who's better?
Yeah.
Well, Martial doesn't believe it himself, but Martial's the best left winger we've got at the moment, and Rashford's a number 9, so...
Exactly, yeah. I'd agree with that.
I think Rashford's a better number 9, although he's still got a lot to learn, but Martial's a better left winger.
I like Rashford. Rashford always seems to score goals at really decisive points, which is exactly the anti-Lukaku. He always scores goals in big games at big moments, and Rashford goes missing for 80 minutes sometimes, which is fine for a striker. I mean, you talk about the sort of scoring outside the box, Alex. I mean, I think Ruud van Nistelrooy scored about 2 outside the box in his whole time at United. Yeah. But it's just that prolific goal scorer that we're absolutely desperate for. And Zlatan did his best for it. It was phenomenal, but should have scored a lot more. And I love Hernandez, and I'm absolutely biased for that. I think he's fantastic.
I'm just reading something here. At the moment, United are wary of being drawn into a transfer saga surrounding Ronaldo's future, and the general feeling at Old Trafford is that he will stay in Madrid, which I think is pretty much reflected by everybody watching and the guests on the show tonight. And I think, as Alex was saying, it's very important that Ronaldo's in playing with Portugal for 2 weeks. That takes us to the end of July. That takes us to the start of July. 10 days later, we're off on a US tour. Can you do a deal with Ronaldo in 10 days? Probably not. To do a deal with Ronaldo probably is going to take 2 months. And what we're trying to achieve next year, I think it's very difficult for us. And also, you end up with a Ramos situation, which the lads have said there. So, the best thing that can happen is that he probably just sorts it out with Real Madrid as soon as possible, and we all move on and focus on what we need to do, because the last thing we want is to be drawn into anything big. But then again, the flip side is if there was an opportunity to do it, we'd be bloody foolish not to. But it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting summer. There's so many aspects, and we don't even know who's going to be leaving yet, and there will be people leaving. This is why we do the United Stand. This is why we're live every night at 8:30. This is why we do the transfer show at 7 o'clock every morning, because there will be stuff happening all the time. And there's loads of stuff I wanted to discuss tonight, but we've not had time because we're going to run out of time. But thanks for coming on, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Good show.
And thanks for coming on, Ross.
Yeah, cheers, Mark. Really enjoyed it, mate.
Thank you. You can follow Ross at Hazza90 on Twitter, and Alex is at AXAS23 on Twitter. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. with the transfer show. Who knows what this week involves? I'm sure there'll be another player that appears that we may be linked to. Ousmane Dembele is very interesting. I did want to talk about him tonight, but maybe we'll pick him up next week. Interesting what's going on there. I do like the look of him. But as I said, Mbappe I still think could happen, and God knows who else. It's a very, very interesting summer. And what I would finish with is a year ago, people would have laughed about Pogba coming to Manchester United. Where is he now? So anything can happen at United. I'm not saying it will happen, but we know, because history shows, anything can happen. So never say never. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for everybody on the live comments. Absolutely fantastic as per usual. We're closing in on 104,000 subscribers now. I just noticed we're not far off there. So do subscribe if you're new. Drop a like, and I shall see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Thanks for watching.